And we are live, ladies and gentlemen. Happy St. Patty's Day to you all. I'm TJ.
And I'm Kent.
And this is the Sling'N podcast, episode 131, the airline special. And Kent forgot to mute his phone again. Thanks, ass. Kent, what's new with you? Since you played the YouTube video, at least you're a subscriber. How's things been going with you, buddy?
Oh, just doing the corporate work thing, shooting the guns, teaching the privates, all the things, while the college teaching. I'm a busy dude. We're getting ready to do some TACCon travel here in the upcoming weeks. That's going to be pretty cool.
So I'm curious. So you're going to TACCon. So I've got two questions for you. First of which is TACCon, right? You just mentioned it. What is it? So you've been to TACCon how many times now? This will be what, your second time, third time?
I've never been to TACCon.
Oh, so that's right. You were not able to go last time, I think.
Nope.
But what is it that you hope to achieve by going to TACCon?
I hope Tom Gibbons will finally like me.
Okay, what's the second thing you want to try to achieve?
Okay, so that's probably not going to happen. No, it's an opportunity to all the people that I don't know about all. Most of the people that I strongly care about in the training industry will be at the same range at the same time, sharing ideas, swapping intelligence and knowledge-based stuff. Really look forward to my friends and people that matter a lot to me, getting to see them flourish in that environment and teach, and proud of the people I've been able to help in that environment and stuff. So it's kind of, I don't know, it's kind of like SHOT Show, but for the people I actually give a damn about.
Right.
So, kind of that deal.
Good stuff. Good stuff. So second question I have, last couple of episodes, we haven't really gone over your training calendar. I know we're coming into the busy season. Who you got coming up for hosted training next and when?
Jedi will be here in 5 weeks. 4 or 5 weeks. Jedi will be here for a 2-day instructor class. After Jedi is Heron. After Heron is Apache. After Apache is Heron again. And that's all I can come off the top of my head with right this minute as far as hosted stuff.
Okay.
I'm forgetting somebody, and I'm sorry. As far as I go, in a couple 5 weeks, we've got defensive rifle metrics in Lewisberry up here at West Shore. We've got defensive pistol metrics coming up in the summertime. We're really busy with privates. We got a whole slew of private lessons being taught every weeknight, weekend days. I mean, we're slamming private lessons out the door, so that's really good. Looking to host some medical training at the gun club coming up. That'll be free. And of course, my lovely wife is bringing me drinks. Thank you.
Welcome.
So hi, TJ.
Hi.
Hi.
Yeah, we're live. We're podcasting. This makes great television. They can't see you. Perfect. Makes total sense.
It's the disembodied voice of Mrs. Green Mountain Defense.
Hi.
There she is. Say hi, Internet.
Hi, Internet. How are you?
Yeah, see, we've got to get them. We've got to get them on the show at some point.
Yeah, really.
Oh,
He is stomping around up there like nobody's business.
playing bingo. He wants me to play with him very badly.
You want you to play bingo?
The song is
Oh,
bingo.
I got it. Yeah.
Yes.
I was gonna say, how the fuck do you know about bingo? Has he been going to the bingo hall with Grandma? Like,
Who knows?
Hey, man, he's probably winning more than Grandma if that's the case.
Right.
Okay.
Oh, Marcia says hi, Soph. It's like that probably. It's my Marcia. It's my Marcia voice. It's also my Zach voice. It's the same. So yeah, we does teach with the Southern
Good stuff,
Charm.
man.
Yeah, dude. Most importantly, my biggest change is I continue on the jitsu. I do the jitsu.
And I'll say, how are you finding it? I know we talk about this quite a bit now, but
Yeah,
I think our dedicated viewers and listeners demand an update.
every role is an ego roller coaster, right? Like 1 minute I'm like, well, I'm a badass, and the next minute I'm like, I'm an ass. Like there's no in between. I either feel like, whoa, that was awesome, or oh, that wasn't good at all. There doesn't seem
it'll humble you real quick.
Oh, dude, it's humbling, but it's also just like I think more people need to get their asses beat.
Oh, absolutely.
I don't mean like, oh, we need to beat more people. I mean like you need to go out and get your ass whooped around once in a while. Like you really,
I think it's a little column A, little column B, but sure.
You know what I mean? What I'm saying is, if all you ever do is win at the things that you do, or you're generally really good at them, or you're generally really successful, and there's not a lot of things in your life that scare you or humble you, you know, a 365-pound black belt that looks like Shaquille O'Neal, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, those guys that you look at like, that's why people like a 45. Okay, gotcha.
That's one of them things. That dude, you don't shoot that guy. You damn sure don't jiu-jitsu him. You bear spray that motherfucker.
Right.
You throw some salmon and you hope he goes after it. That's all you got.
You don't have to be. You don't have to be better than him. You just have to be better than your friend who you can break their ankle and leave them behind in sacrifice.
You don't have to be faster than a black belt. There just has to be a 10-year-old on the mat somewhere.
Right. Instead of pocket sand, pocket child.
Yeah.
Sacrifice the child.
Scary stuff, man. I've had some interesting experiences. I've really gotten like the pressure. I think the thing that you hear the term pressure all the time, and like people think of pressure as like deadlines or whatever. The pressure of losing control to somebody else physically is kind of not replaceable in terms of like, you know, the way your body reacts to that stress.
Right.
And, you know, there's a dopamine effect. If you react well and you succeed, however you determine success, and, you know, sometimes success is just not getting your absolute ass whooped. There's a dopamine feeling, and there's a, wow, I did all right there, and I didn't think I would. And then when you really, really lose, you lose in kind of a like, well, I lost, but like I'm still here, I'm still okay. I still have my limbs, you know, nothing really bad happened. I just got my ass whooped.
Mm-hmm.
That's good. I think that's good for the psyche.
Yeah, I think it is, especially when you push through it and you come back for seconds, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
there's something to be said. There's something to be said about that whole mentality where, like, yeah, I got my ass whipped. You've really got two choices. You can either A, tuck tail and run, or you can stay in the fight.
And of course, you end up like that's a micro decision. That decision keeps happening because you roll and you tap. And in a lot of other sports or a lot of other disciplines or a lot of other like, if you tap, like that's the end of that shit. You go sit down, you're fucking done. You know, go drink water, you gave up. No, dude, you tap and then you fucking slap, bump, go again.
Right.
Oh fuck, tap, slap, bump, go again. Like, and there's not a. It's not a I give up. It's a you've bested me.
Right.
Right. It's and then, you know, God forbid you get well matched with somebody and you get them and slap, bump, and go, and you get them again and you're like, ooh, here we go, slap, bump, and go, and then like, oh, I fucked up, and you know, then right. You know, I've experienced a good number of these now where where that cycle happens to both, I'm going to call it competitive, both training partners in a 5-minute round.
Right.
The other thing I could say is that this is not my previous experience with judo. This is just not the same thing. Anybody wants to, people want to put different monikers on martial arts or say, oh, this is this and this is like that. While there are similarities in body control and things like that are very much part of this, judo to me, at least the way I was brought up in it, was way more competitive in nature, very much more like, oh, you got a good takedown or whatever. And this is just more like, at least at our place, it feels like if they could get out the folding chairs, they'd let the freaking, Degeneration X come in and whack you over the head with a folding chair when you weren't looking,
Yeah, that's one of the, you made an interesting point about like how it is different from any other martial art, right? All the different monikers and terms and comparisons to other martial arts. I think Joe Rogan said it best, probably.
Jay?
That was weird.
I don't work here.
Echo? Okay.
Echo.
Yeah, but Rogan said it best, right? Jiu-jitsu is the only martial art, or if you even take in other combatives training, that you can go 100% and actually come out unscathed.
Yeah, that's a good point. Well, I'm somewhat scathed, but that's okay. My trachea does this popping thing it didn't used to do now, so that's new. I have a new feature in my throat. My tendons are a little more stretched than they were.
Right.
I keep finding, like, I swear to God, it's good I'm not in high school, because they'd be like, who's beating you? And I'd be like, I fell into a chair. Like, I keep finding these random bruises and shit. Like, my favorite part is that Soph's doing it. And so far, my favorite part was a night she and I will tend to, like, if we get a free night, we're going to get a free night. So if there's something going on from 6 to 9 or whatever, we're going to go to all 3 of them classes if we can make it. And her intention was to do that. And she called me and she's like, hey, I'm smoked. I'm only, I finished this class. I'm going to leave. And I was like, hey, did you get in the truck yet? And she goes, I was like, did you get in the truck yet? She goes, all right, I'll see you at 9. I saw it, like, and she came home later and she's like, dude, I don't think I drank enough water. I don't know what's the matter with me, but all of a sudden I was really beat. And then I decided, fuck it, I'm going to keep going. And, like, she, so good for your soul, so good for your psyche and your attitude and all that. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, man. Now I'm very quickly, like, this week I've been a little snooty and a little sore throaty. So I'm not out there, like, licking people. And, like, I immediately miss it now.
Mm-hmm.
It did not take long to get back into that kind of a groove. It's only been since January.
Right.
Yeah, dude, Zach, my wrist is fucked. It's not, my wrist isn't just jiu-jitsu fucked. My wrist is too much dry fire, too much repetitive motion and all that. So my left wrist is, like, pretty fucked, which, of course, I'm left-handed, so that's awesome. And my right wrist is, like, kind of sort of fucked. So I'm afraid one of these days here I'm gonna need some surgery. Zach, obviously, Doc, I've been talking to Doc and stuff, and, we'll see what I'm all about to rehab. I'm doing, like, the stretch bandage thing where I stretch my wrist this way and stretch it that way and do this and this.
Mm-hmm.
The only motion that hurts really now is when this wrist, like, gets support hand pressure and pushes back in, like I was shooting.
Right.
So it's obvious to me that it's mostly repetitive motion from shooting and dry firing. It's just kind of one of those things where it's like, hey, man, it's gonna come back. Yeah. I mean, Alex, I could see that, like, the tennis elbow stuff, the I for sure have. I've given myself a lot of problems from shooting. One of the things that I was really doing a lot of was really accentuating the. I mean, clearly I don't shoot chicken wing, but I was kind of like accentuating that elbow and wrist, like kind of
that flare
motion. So I'm now I'm actively trying to run my gun with my elbows a little more square to my wrist line now, which is something that I originally, quite honestly, like from a technique perspective, I originally thought it wasn't any good for me. Tim Herron was trying to get me to do it before I had a wrist injury, and was saying like, "Hey man, like you know, you'll find you can actually exert better grip pressure if you just change your elbow position just slightly." I mean, I wasn't like crazy pants, way over the top cammed in, but I was a little bit more cammed in. And he was encouraging me to kind of soften that up a little bit. And the funniest fucking thing, I snap to the gun now if I don't cam and I just kind of, and again, I'm over exaggerating that motion to show it. You can almost not see it when I do it, but if I just roll in straight versus any kind of cam at all, there's no pain there. So
right,
it's obviously something I was, putting too much pressure on this. I don't know, dual oblongata or whatever the fuck that thing is. That's what that's called, right?
I'm not.
Bobby.
Your guess is as good as mine.
He told me Vicky Valancourt showed him his titties or her titties, and he liked them.
Jiu-jitsu reveals all truths. I don't know how I could wax philosophically at that point.
Yeah. I don't know. It's funny. So Alex just talking about bad habits. I don't know, man. I really think it was just applying more muscle where I could have not. I don't know if it was a bad or a good habit. I know plenty of guys, especially longer armed guys, that really climb all over the gun like that. Tim Kelly used to climb, like really came into the gun hard, and over the years I've seen him kind of soften that a little bit too. I don't think there's any wrong or right necessarily, but Gator's got all them teeth but no toothbrush. Yeah,
that's why they ornery.
Yeah, so I don't know. I'm really getting into that jiu-jitsu life. It's taken me off the range a little bit, but that's okay. I need a break in terms of like I need to do a little less teaching, and yeah, it's been pretty cool. So since we're tack conning, we're talking about tack conning. I recently started doing a whole like, all right, the fuck can I take on a plane? Because, flying. And then there was that news story about Homeboy in the, there's a flight and Homeboy was like stabbing flight attendants with a broken spoon and he was like air gunning. He was claiming to be Balthazar or some shit. He was saying that they were going to have to, take his life and that whole deal. And, I watched it several times and a couple other guys I've been talking to. And it was just kind of one of these moments where it was like, man, how did one fucking, what was that guy's name? Todd, what was the 9/11 guy?
I honestly can't.
Yeah,
I can't remember his name. I want to say it was it Rob? I want to say it started with an R.
Now I'm fucking.
Yeah, I'm hold on. I'm gonna Jamie this thing. You keep talking.
Thank you. So, it's one of those deals, right? Where it's like, what tools do you have at your disposal while you're on the plane? What do you do? How do you approach physical security going to and from the airport? Obviously everybody wants to talk about flying with a gun. Honestly, flying with a gun is kind of fucking easy. You just get a Pelican suitcase and
Todd Beamer,
that's the guy. That's the Let's Roll cat.
Yeah. So real quick, as we get into this topic, right, I think it's important for us to distinguish some of the resources that are available to people. I'm getting a hell of an echo from you, brother. I'm just going to mute you for a second to see if that fixes it. Okay. Hey, it went away. It is on your end. But with that being said, guys, so obviously we're not lawyers, we're not air marshals or anything like that. We're only speaking from our personal civilian experiences. However, there are resources out there that you can use to educate yourself. So first and foremost, you want to visit the TSA website specifically, and you need to visit the website and regulations for the specific airline that you're going to be flying with. Okay, so there's two sets of regulations. Like Kent brought up flying with a firearm. He's 100% right. It actually is quite simple. However, TSA has a set of standards, and then each airline has their own set of standards that deviate. So just be mindful of that. Okay, so that's all I got to say about that.
Yeah, it's kind of one of those. It's kind of one of those deals where I think just like anything else, you have to kind of look at what's realistic and what makes a lot of sense. I think I know what the Echo is. I think it's a 1-year-old golden retriever.
Oh no, it was definitely my voice.
Oh, it was your voice? Oh, that's funny. All I can hear is my goddamn dogs. Anyway, as you look at what threats am I likely to face? What am I worried about? What's a couple days going to be like away from home? What do I need to protect myself against? What do I need to be able to be prepared to deal with? I don't know. Pretty unlikely you're going to be in the airplane and the Yakuza is going to try to take it over or something. But you might have to have a conversation with, some dude who's on the devil's pixie dust or whatever, and he's all silly pants and he wants to do stupid things. And, if you find yourself in a situation having to intervene with something like that, besides some hand skills and some common ways you can use your own body, turns out a lot of shit in that carry-on bag of yours, and there's a lot of shit around you in your environment that could be of use.
Mm-hmm.
So
let's get this out of the way real quick. Oh, the Echo went away. That's nice. Hey guys, the risks you take when you do a live broadcast. With that being said, let's just get this out of the way first. Medical is 100% not a problem. Now, I would caution you around things like trauma shears and decomp needles, but tourniquets, bandage, compression gauze, Israeli bandages, all the things to stop the bleed. I've never had a problem. I have taken a full dark minus the trauma shears with me on an airplane and still do to this day. Never been a problem. Never been stopped. Never even been questioned by TSA about it. Right? So medical, always cool. Always cool.
All right. So we're going to make a list of the top 10 things to wallop a motherfucker on an airplane with.
There's no way this is going to come back to haunt us.
No, it's fine. It's all fine. Top 10 things you should wallop a motherfucker on an airplane with. Number 1, midgets.
Oh, Jesus.
I'm just saying, if there's a midget in the aisle seat and you pick that little motherfucker up by the ankles, you could swing him and he could bite at the same time. So that's a twofer.
Okay. Please do not pick up a midget, folks. For legal reasons, that was a joke.
Fine, a little person.
Hey, Zach is on the show. We've got to be careful with what we say.
An Oompa Loompa, perhaps. I don't know. So let's see. I think probably I would most look to shit right in my environment. So I'm going to have an iPad with me. I'm going to have an Apple Pencil with me.
Mm-hmm.
If I can, I'm not sure if I could still get away with the metal water bottle.
Yes, you can, actually.
Right.
Matter of fact, it's not down here anymore. My wife and I bought, while we were out in Colorado, we bought metal water bottles just to keep, always have water with us and stuff. And as long as it's empty, when you go through security, a metal water bottle is allowed.
Right. So once you're on the other side, you can fill it with some water. Plus,
yeah, that's exactly right. Yep.
Put ding, freaking Nalgene or Yeti water bottle somebody upside the snoot one time. Right. Obviously, the tray on your seat could be pretty easily dislodged. I really like the idea of Garrote choking a motherfucker with an iPad charger. Sounds pretty fun. What other fantasy nonsense can we get into?
Medical devices.
You could ram a son of a bitch with a cart.
Walker.
Cane. There's a whole. Or wasn't it you that was saying there's a whole martial art based on around having a cane?
Yeah, I mean, guys, when you think about it, it's prison rules for the most part, right? I do want to hammer home though, real quick, on the empty-handed skills that you mentioned when we started this segment, guys. Like, this is one of the things where like jujitsu, Krav Maga, things like that actually work very well. You got to remember, even American boxing or Western style boxing will go well for you. But being used to, like, let's just say you have to subdue someone who's getting a little ornery on the airplane, right? I mean, if you're flying Southwest, you're practically taking your life in your own hands, because it's like, well, it's the people of, if Walmart owned an airline, right? I say that because
Southwest attack on.
Oh, I fly Southwest all the time. I actually love Southwest. What was it? There was a comedian that had a bit about, like, it was right after 9/11. Somebody got up on a Southwest flight and said, "I'm going to storm the cockpit." The rest of the passengers like subdued him, beat the shit out of him, and then had him like hogtied until they landed and the cops could come scoop him up off the floor of the airplane.
That's some bitches from hillbilly hand fishing were like,
yeah. Oh, we going noodling today, boys. Look at this. The cop shows up and there's some 300-pound redneck with his fist down this dude's throat. Look what I caught. But yeah, like, guys, those skills that, like, especially on an airplane, right? Because bus, airplane, train, like, you don't have a lot of room. Get used to implementing or applying empty-handed skills in essentially something that is the size of a phone booth, right? You don't have a lot of space. While we were kind of talking about this particular episode, I actually made mention to, like, some of the martial arts movies where, like, the good guy ninja walks into a narrow hallway. He's surrounded by enemy ninja on the other side of him, and they go to draw their sword. They keep hitting the wall because they can't draw their sword. Kind of the same concept, right? You're not going to have the same freedom of movement that you do on the street. But yeah, to the point about the cane, there is a martial art. For the life of me, I can't. It was probably like cane jitsu or cane fu or some shit. But a walking cane is a medical device, and this is the way that this dude explains it, right? The views and opinions are not necessarily reflective of the Sling'N podcast, the Let Sling and Ginger, or Green Mountain Defense. But according to this guy, the Americans with Disabilities Act and HIPAA prohibit people from asking why you have that cane. You are not obliged to answer. And a cane is a legitimate medical device. Whether you actively need it or not, it's nobody else's business.
I'm just gonna walk onto the plane, slamming the cane into my hand like it's a baseball bat, like I'm an.
Well, the guy that kind of championed this whole, martial art around implementing the cane as a weapon or a defensive tool, even said that he'll walk through the airport with it just kind of hung over his elbow. Like, he'll have his elbow, his elbows will be bent at a 90-degree angle. Maybe he's on his phone or whatever, and he'll be walking perfectly normally with his cane draped over his arm, right? There's nothing that they can do about it. It is what it is. But yeah, things like that. Like I said, prison rules, right? Roll of quarters, Bic lighters, things that might serve as a fist pack, things that can help reinforce your knuckles if in the event that you do find yourself in a tussle or defending yourself with your hands. All those things are on the table.
They are. I'm sorry, I've been invaded by a toddler.
I want to help Daddy.
He wants to help Daddy.
Oh,
Yes.
Just reading his
So I think it's worth noting too that, like, there's a certain amount of action or inaction that you need to have kind of a pre-made decision on when it comes to something like this. Like, at what point do you stand up? I mean, how long do you wait?
Yeah, that's a question that we've even asked on this podcast before, even just with normal everyday self-defense. Like, you need to have that honest conversation with yourself on when exactly are you going to get involved.
I think for me, I'm going to give it, I don't know, a couple moments. And I'm going to hope I hear, like, U.S. Air Marshals, I'm carrying 357 SIG for some reason. And I'm going to be like, hey, girl. And they're going to be like, wap, 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 pow. I'm not going to have to do nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And then when that moment doesn't come, I'm going to go, well, as a jiu-jitsu white belt, let me sit in the aisle and put my legs up in the air. And why don't you and I start fighting?
Come at me, bro.
Yeah. Well, I'm fucking pulling guard like a motherfucker. What do you think of this?
Right.
X guard.
Yeah. I think for me, it's one of those things where, look, I intentionally sit in the aisle. I've had some belligerent people on planes before. Obviously, I fly Southwest. Look, the reality of the situation is you've got to let the people handle it. I mean, believe it or not, flight attendants, captains, lieutenants, co-pilots, these guys and gals actually do go through some level of training to deal with these situations. So you've got to kind of let that, like, don't be so hasty to jump in and play Rambo. I think for me, the precedent that I've set in my mind is as soon as I start seeing somebody go physical, because most of the time it's a drunk Karen or Kyle, just bitching verbally at the flight attendant and the staff or the crew of the airplane.
5 miles.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Yeah. That's generally what it is. But if I see somebody actually putting hands on, starting to stand up, furtive movements as they call it, right? Someone needs to hold that sumbitch down. And I'm not even advocating that you go up and just start swinging. Right. There's a lot of things that you can do to subdue somebody, especially if you catch them by surprise, that will help neutralize that situation relatively peacefully.
Yeah.
Because, again, you're fighting in a phone booth, presumably, right? So their ability to turn around and wallop you when you're coming up behind them, not that easy, especially if they happen to be wider than others, because, after all, I do fly Southwest. Maybe that's why I fly Southwest. Maybe subconsciously I've realized that I'm probably in better shape than nearly everyone else on that airplane.
Oh, wait a minute. That's like being the tallest midget. You're like, hey, bro.
Oh, yeah.
Southwest.
But on the on the island of the blind, the one-eyed man is king. On the plane full of fat people with diabetes, the guy who can bend over and tie his shoes without his face turning red is king. Like,
all you got to do is throw a Diet Coke in the aisle, and whoever dives on it, you got the advantage.
Right. You see, yeah. the people that are like, can I get 2 or 3 more bags of treats? Like,
oh God. I do kind of relish the idea of watching the hot Asian flight attendant spear a motherfucker with her, 4-inch heels.
Wait, did that happen?
No, it's just, in my mind, it did.
Oh, okay.
And she roundhouse kicks him in the face, sticking her heel in his eye socket while simultaneously saying, "Hota."
You got to quit watching that weird old kung fu movie.
Just saying, dude. It's not real until she says, "Hota."
You'd shit if that actually happened. You're like, I just thought I was being a racist.
Dude, I swear to God, I will shit into existence. It's not real all the time.
Fair. Yeah, active imagination. It's one of the reasons I love you, buddy.
I really kind of like that idea. But I think something else to consider is the transitional space kind of conversation from the Uber / rental car / fucking you got dropped off at the airport or whatever. I mean, we're all not all super duper kitted up with our pepper spray and our ass kicking stuff while we're chilling at the airport, because we're about to have to go through security and we kind of sort of can't be. So that whole time is kind of a less armored up defensive situation. So
well, and I'm pretty sure I think it would be worth the research like the number of assaults. So if we classify this episode as, an analysis or an exploration into likelihood of necessity for self-defense for air travel, right? We would have to take into account the totality of the air travel. So not just on the plane, which, let's be honest, the likelihood of something actually happening on a plane is probably very, very slim, right?
Yeah.
However, right, to your point, Kent, I think there's a real valid element of research that we should probably dig into to look at, hey, what are the number of reported assaults on the premises of an airport in those transitional spaces? Parking garages are rife with all sorts of people that you don't want to mess with or you don't want anywhere near you, right? I'd be curious to see what those actual statistics look like. I mean, you could easily look up and see, the level of violent assaults on college campuses, right? Parking lots, whatever have you. Why would an airport garage be any different?
Yeah. And I mean, obviously you gotta be, if you're gonna do the whole, like the minute you land and get through security on the other side, fucking opening your Pelican case in the bathroom and rearming yourself. I mean, okay, I guess. I
absolutely do.
Yeah, but like you got some time in there, and the other part of that is you're awful conspicuous. Like
there's ways to be incognito with that. Obviously, while you're standing at the baggage carousel is a bad time to pull out the Glock 34 in the Enigma, drop trow, and start strapping up.
Yeah,
but I mean, truth be told, though, I don't usually carry full size firearms whenever I'm traveling. My stuff, like I'll carry like my Glock 43X, my 48, my revolver, something a little bit easier to transport because I can throw that in a small it's just the way that I pack my stuff. Right. I'm not going on like a big excursion like you probably would for like a training event or like Jedi or Tim Herron or any of those guys where that Pelican case is a necessity. Mine goes in a metal locked container, locked inside my check bag, and me going into a restroom after I picked my check bag up off, from the carousel, slip into a bathroom, put my pocket knife back in, my mace or my pepper spray, my firearm, my flashlight usually stays with me. That's another one that we missed. Flashlight.
Oh yeah.
You carry that on you. But yeah, there's a science behind
on my flashlight and the freaking theorem switchback will still pass muster.
Yeah. Yeah, I do it. I did. I took my mod light with my theorem on it. I've taken my stream light with me on an airplane. I mean, if anything, I might throw it in my check bag just so I don't have it in my pocket because it's the last thing I need digging into my hip while I'm sitting in those tiny ass seats. But yeah, it's keeping that with you, within arm's reach. I've never seen that be a problem. Actually, because I've been doing off-body carry for we'll call it the non-essential stuff. I'll throw it in my cross sling bag that usually will sit right here on my chest. And again, just to free up space in my pockets when I am no longer going to be confined, take everything I need out. It goes in the pocket or on the waistband, wherever it needs to go. And we're good. We're off and running.
Oh yeah. That's the other thing. I can have that, I can have the body armor in that Vertex bag now on the airplane. That's pretty cool. Although the 357 SIG the Air Marshal's carrying will probably penetrate that. So,
I mean, let's order another panel and test it. Oh wait, neither of us own 357 SIG.
I do still have a conversion barrel.
Oh, there you go.
Because, why not?
I mean, but then again, if you're the one being shot by the Air Marshal, you're the problem.
Not necessarily.
Okay.
Just saying. You've seen the UPS trucks.
No,
cops that doubled up the UPS truck. Never mind. It was a cops can't shoot joke. It was just poorly timed.
Oh, you're expecting them to miss.
I mean, they might have taken a Green Mountain defense class. Who knows? That shit could get real wild up in there.
Right.
Fucking some air marshal stands up and screams, "Consequences!" I am fucking diving for the ground. It's over, Jack. I'm not in there. Oh, God. I've got a few boxes of 357 SIG that are given to me if you want. Yeah, see, now we're automatically testing the body armor. Yeah, I suppose they are running G19s now, Alex, but that's no fun. My fantasies of getting in a 357 SIG shootout will live on.
They are known for over penetration. I'll tell you that much.
Same. What's the Glock? What's the Glock 27 357 SIG?
I mean, the 27 size 357.
Yeah.
I want to say 31. I want to say 31.
That's the full size. Then the 32 is the 19. Glock 33 is the little 357 SIG Glock. Don't you?
Yeah, there's a 32. Yeah, 32, 31, and 33.
Bro, I'm Professor Glock. Fucking doubt me. But yeah.
Well, blame them for the fucked up nomenclature on their models.
I know. Can you imagine?
By the way,
being the dude?
No, I love the posts I see on social media that it's taking place at gun stores where like one of the ladies that works at the gun store comes in and pretends to be like a first time gun buyer's like, oh my buddy told me I should get a Glock 22, and he's like, oh yeah, the Glock 22 or the Glock 40, and he pulls out the Glock Model 40 in 10 millimeter,
right?
And they go back and forth with how confusing the models are.
I always wanted to do call the Glock call center and be like, my Glock 22 holds like 478 rounds of 22. Now, I don't understand why you people want to argue about high capacity magazines. How many goddamn rounds do you need in this thing? I think the barrel's a little oversized. Can't quite get it to hold a group. I don't understand. No, sir, the Glock 22 is a 40. It's only supposed to hold 40. You know what I mean? You could just go Abbott and Costello on that until the fucking cows came home.
I'm almost certain that's been done before, but fuck it. Why not?
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like, I'm like Quagmire. Like, I want to be the first person with pictures of my cat on the internet. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Glenn, I hate to tell you this, but I'm pretty sure it's been done before. Yeah. The other thing I find interesting about the whole, like, the incident on the airplane, right, is that you gotta wonder how many dudes are like just neutered enough that they're like, I wonder if anybody else is gonna stand up.
I think the reasonable expectation is nearly all of them.
Right. Like some dude's just gonna reach up and put his AirPods in silent mode and go back to listening to like Super Bass by Nicki Minaj or whatever. He's just like,
that was an oddly specific scenario you just painted.
I'm just saying, like, or whatever other fucking, it's a party we can sing if we want to. Okay, bro, Miley Cyrus. Like some dude's just listening to Miley.
He's just gonna rock out to. He's gonna he's like, hey, play my Nickelback soundtrack or play my Nickelback playlist.
Right. Fucking Creed. Hold me now. Meanwhile,
oh God.
Meanwhile, just going dogpile party time on the one terrorist or the one fucking, the guy's like, I'm Balthazar. Like, TJ stands up and goes, hi, Balthazar. I'm TJ. Sit the fuck down, bro. What are you doing?
Sit down before you get hurt.
He's like, I'm a. What the fuck?
So I'm curious though. Were they already in the air when this? Because I haven't actually looked up the story. So this was in the air.
Yeah, dude, they're in the air, and the dude got all pissy pants about something. He started saying he was Balthazar, and he started like air gun shooting. Like he didn't actually have a gun. He was just like air gunning. And he was saying like, "Oh, I'm gonna kill you all. This is gonna be a bloodbath. It doesn't matter where we land. Tell the SWAT team they're gonna have to shoot me." I just imagine the pilot being like, you're gonna have to shoot him. Like, I don't, like, so it's just one of these things where, obviously this guy's not getting anywhere. He tried to open like the emergency exit door. Just, it's pressurized. Like, you can't really open that while you're flying. But at the same time, fuck you for trying.
So what ended up? Finish the story. Like, what ended up? Who did somebody step up and subdue this dude? Or
what ended up happening was he stabbed a flight attendant with a broke fork, and the flight attendants and a couple passengers just played like Donkey Kong pile up on the guy, and like 6 people laid on him.
I see.
So they just fucking huzza'd, and all of them ended up landing on him, and they're just like, "Stop wriggling, motherfucker!" And he's like, "I'm Balthazar." And I'm like, "Well, you wriggle all you want, Balthazar, but like, fucking."
Well, Balthazar is going to have 2 broken arms if he doesn't stop.
Yeah, Balthazar is going to be missing teeth one at a time for the next 40 minutes while we land this motherfucker. Like,
yeah.
Of course, they rerouted. They landed in Chicago. I figured they wanted to get some deep dish and get a mafia fucking paid off cop to go in there and be like, "Hey, forget about it," and then fucking like start the plane back up and keep going.
So, oh, you say you're Balthazar? Well, Balthazar owes us money.
Yeah,
I'm not Balthazar. My name's Jimmy. My name's Jimmy.
Right. Yeah, dude. I don't know, but like, I mean, there was no killer. Like, also, it's not like you got to watch a dude do any super cool guy awesomeness, but it's just like a big old fella just was like, "Come here." They just kind of cuddled on the ground for a while.
Right.
So that's kind of my take on it.
So here's follow me on this one because I'm curious. So obviously carrying a firearm on a plane is reserved for law enforcement, right? To some degrees. And even that's probably got some restrictions to it. But I'm curious, Kent, if airlines still allowed it, if those federal restrictions were not in place, would you be in favor of Joe Blow civilian being allowed to carry on a plane?
I think Joe Blow civilian should be able to own his own F-16. So, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, if he can have his own fighter jet, he can have his Glock on mine, I guess.
Interesting.
I mean, I don't know. Like, we let them reproduce.
Yeah, don't get me started on eugenics because sometimes I think that there should be an application process before people have children.
Listen, TJ, the bottom line is there's helmet enthusiasts like all throughout our society, right? Like
Balthazar, right?
There's people who probably like their helmets better than they want to admit in every walk or every facet of life. Air travel's clearly no different. I don't know. I don't see how it hurts.
Yeah, I can tell you this much. If that were the case, if people were still allowed to carry on planes, I would make damn sure I never got on a plane without one.
Oh, yeah. I'd be like, I want the very back seat.
Because I feel like that's the worst position you could possibly be in, is being the only guy on the plane without one when everybody else probably has one and has not had a lick of training.
I mean, yeah, it's kind of like that whole polite society thing. You figure, I don't know.
There'd probably be a lot less Balthazars in the world if that were the case. Like, think about it. One of the reasons why you see road rage so much more prolific in states that have very restrictive gun laws is because not everybody has a gun. You come down to Tennessee, you don't see a whole lot of road rage because damn near everyone's got a gun, right?
It's also hard to run each other off the road with horses and buggies, but yeah, I take you being it.
Accidents with those happen more than you think, believe it or not.
Yeah.
There's not a year that goes by where there's not at least one. And it's usually really bad. Like the horse and buggy got creamed by a semi-truck. Yeah. Every year, man.
From the glue factory, or was that just a coincidence?
At least one. That would have been hilarious. But yeah, it happens more than you would think. Because we're not too far from Amish country, right? Just what, 30, 40 minutes south of us, you get into heavy Amish country, like so heavy, there are still hitching posts outside of most stores. And I mean modern stores, Walmart, Dollar General, Kmart, whatever. Like, it's not like here's the Amish farmers market and there's hitching posts. Like, no, you go to that part of where I live and there's hitching posts everywhere. The issue you run into is they typically will only paint their buggies black. Now, by law, supposedly, they should have a slow-moving vehicle triangle reflective on the back of their buggy to prevent shit like that from happening. There's a lot of them that don't abide by that law.
Yep.
And they're, and they black horse, black buggy trotting down the highway, and semi-trucker, swerves. Maybe the horse veers into the lane a little bit. Cream of Mr. Ed.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
The downside is that it usually results in significant fatal injuries of, look, I feel bad about the animal, don't get me wrong, but there's usually lives that are lost in those incidents as well.
Yeah. Why did My Little Pony go to the nurse's office?
Oh, I don't know.
He was a little horse.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
You're welcome. Nah.
Oh, God. That's not going to get out of my head now. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm going to be laying in bed staring up at my ceiling going, because he was a little horse. He was a little horse. Like, it's just, all night. Thank you for no sleep tonight, Ken. Thank you.
You're welcome. So, what about like the whole? It seems the mentality these days, because I'll tell you what did happen in this incident, this one that I was kind of paying attention to and tracking. A lot of folks are just whipping out the cell phones, man. So I just wonder, like, do you really want to be the dude on the YouTubes and on the Instabooks and the Facegrams who stands up and just drops some elbows on a motherfucker on like national television?
I'll be honest with you. If the situation comes to it where the threshold of events was met, that I got up and got involved, I gives a fuck who's recording what.
So I just feel like it would be a good opportunity to do some like wrestling promos, like as you're throwing the elbows, you're like defensive rifle metrics, April 23rd. like do them shout outs, bro.
Right. Just have all of your t-shirts have your upcoming training dates on it.
Yeah. Yeah. But I can just see that. But the other thing is I find interesting that whole picture gets painted differently depending on, because I'll tell you right now, I've watched this episode unfold from like 5 different camera angles and videos that start like, it's hard to get the whole picture of a 10-minute long incident from a minute 30-second news clip, right? Now, like the obvious, once the motherfucker's yelling, I'm Balthazar with a broken spoon in his hand, like, all right, you're Balthazar, we get it. But like, it'd be pretty easy to have 45 seconds of what happened to you that kind of paints you in not such a good light. Like, where the only thing that gets shown is TJ standing up and going, sit down, motherfucker. And the news comes out and says, podcast entrepreneur / male stripper beats the shit out of Balthazar on an airplane, Oh, yeah, that's true, Alex. That is right. He did say those words. He said, I'm taking over this plane. That's when the Bernstein Bears decided to give him a cuddle session.
Right. Yeah, I'm looking up the story now. Yeah, I mean, this certainly meets the threshold where I would have done something.
Right.
So it's just what you can't play with that shit anymore, right? I mean, in my opinion, TSA is a hologram of security. It is the perception of security.
I would rather trust one of those like parking lot security robots.
Right.
Like, seriously.
No, look, do they do a good job? Are as far as
No.
like searching people? Well, searching people's stuff, they do a great job going through people's bags.
Congratulations, you found my underbritches.
My point exactly.
All right.
Would I rely on them to be able to actively do? Why do you think whenever there's a disgruntled passenger while the plane is still on the ground, they call the cops?
We're gonna have to get to the point where there's like a cop airplane that like flies up and docks with your airplane, and the cops get on. Yeah, Star Trek.
They'd make an interesting cops episode.
Yeah. Air marshal's got to be a wild job, dude. We got to find. You know what? You know what we have not done on this show yet? We have not interviewed an air marshal.
I don't know of any.
I can think of one or two. I'm not going to say names on here yet till I hit them up and ask the question, but I think that's a good idea.
I agree with you. I think that would be a really good episode. I mean, obviously, we want to keep their identity masked, which we could easily do on
I
here.
think the dude I'm thinking of is now retired.
Right.
Not 100% certain though, so I don't want to fuck that shit up. But yeah, I bet you Alex and I are talking about anyway. We'll figure that out offline because that's a good little thread we haven't pulled yet.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, you don't hear of, and of course, you know, it's kind of like, well, clearly they're doing a good job. If you don't hear of, hey, the air marshal shot a motherfucker, then that's good. But like, speaking of security theater, like, how many of those dudes are there really? Is there like one guy? Is like Walt Longmire sitting in some airplane by himself with a lever gun, just like nobody never tries nothing, you know? Like, is it a thing really? You know, how many are there in the program? How many people are actually actively flying in the skies? I'm like, you can.
Well, I mean, I can tell you this much: there ain't enough for him to be on every single flight.
Sure not. No, sure not. And then, of course, you don't want the guy that couldn't get hired to guard Best Buy, like signing up as an air marshal either. So, like,
Well, they usually end up in TSA.
no, right. Stringent standards and all that shit.
I don't even think they require a high school diploma.
The air marshals?
No, I mean TSA.
Yeah, I mean, why would TSA require a high school diploma? Your job is to sniff other people's underwear.
That would make a good video, though, dude. Since we're talking about air marshals and stuff, we should download or find out their firearms standards.
Oh, I've shot it a number of times.
Oh, have you?
Yeah, that's a thing.
But not on camera, have you?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think so. I think I used it as a tool to review what gun. I'd have to get back to you on that.
That's why you have the 357 SIG conversion barrel.
Yeah, maybe that may be. No, it is. It's certainly. It's not like it's not hard by any means, but as quals go, it's not easy.
Okay.
Like compared to like the PA posters, like a lot of these law enforcement calls are an absolute joke. The air marshal's call is one of them where you're like, oh, I should fucking pay attention.
Right.
Like you're gonna pass it, but you should pay attention. I forget who the last person was. Somebody put me through it in a class too. One of somebody's like culmination exercise things was to have you pass that. I hundoed it in a class, and I can't remember whose that was either. But it's a thing. I know we shot it at SIG a couple of times. Speaking of, SIG, they probably love it because it's 357 SIG. But I know we shot it at SIG Academy at least 2 or 3 times, and I can recall. And of course, like I'm saying it, like it's I don't know what Lord knows they're on version 5.0 or whatever the fuck. I'm sure it hasn't been the same qual the whole entire time. I don't think. But
right.
Yeah, that's not the FBI HRT qual strikes me. Air Marshal's qual strikes me as one that's actually worth a shit. There's a couple others, but quals are kind of silly anymore. They prove out a level of proficiency that can be that can be, documented. Hey man, I can shoot at least as good as an air marshal can.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of for whatever that's worth. Mass Ayub is pretty well known for having his students shoot quals, document them, file them, keep them on file in the house and with the attorney and stuff. That way a level of their shooting proficiency has been documented. Givens has a certain level of that to his repertoire as well. Well, we got Cecil. I used to see a Smith & Wesson M&P 357 SIG. Still have a boatload of ammo. See? I knew we had one. Old Cecil's over here going, shit, I got 357 SIG. So there you go. This episode brought to you by calibers that didn't need to exist, but now that they do, we're happy. You looking up the air marshal call now?
I was.
I saw the look on your face where you're like, I don't know if I can do that. I think I can do that.
No, actually. No, what I was trying to because it had a picture of their target that they use. I'm imagining.
Wait. Was it brown and wearing a robe? No,
blue.
Okay, just
so racist.
Poor Mohammed on the airplane is like, motherfucker, again with these guys.
Right. But no, what? So it has it actually. What's the nomenclature for the FBI one? For their target,
the B-27 target. Is that what you're referring to?
Yeah. So it looks very similar to that, but it has a very narrow sliver, kind of like your spinal column, essentially. I kind of want to assume, and I didn't read through the whole standard, but I want to assume that the shots in you want in that center line, just trying to put together the environment that they would be expected to employ their firearm in. So even outside that center line is less than ideal, regardless of it being a pump or a switch, right? That center line, extreme center mass, is probably the scoreable area. So yeah, I mean, it looks like nothing happens outside of 7 yards. So not terrible. It doesn't look all that complex. It really doesn't, but I feel like the accuracy standards is what would screw most people.
Yeah. I seem to remember this more distance than 7 yards though.
Yeah. Like I said, I just kind of glanced through it. I didn't see anything past 7 yards being mentioned though.
Interesting. I believe I've shot so many of these. I can't keep these things straight anymore if I'm being real with you.
Right.
So I don't know. I do know that Phil Groff continues to do an awesome job on his social media, doing all 50 states law enforcement qualifications, and those are fucking silly pants.
Has he posted a favorite one yet? Of those, which one has been his favorite so far?
I just like how he's doing. He shoots them straight up, and turbo murders 100. I don't think he's been outside of perfect on one yet. And then he does some silly pants shit, turns a gun upside down, or shoots it all one-handed, or shoots it all support hand, or takes the sights off the gun, or takes a red dot off the gun, or fucking whatever else. Wears oven mitts or gloves, or ties himself to a tree and hangs from his ankles and he's just doing silly shit to try to make it harder on himself and still passing them. And then he's like, congratulations, Nevada. I can pass your qual with my support hand only, including the draw stroke from a retention duty holster. Please do better. It's that kind of vibe. It's pretty enjoyable. Oh, shot to Texas concealed carry holster blind. Chris Baker and them Lucky Gunner shooting a Texas thing blindfolded. That's fucking funny. No, I did not see that, but I was about to hit a podcast, so I'm gonna be looking that one up. That's gonna be funny as shit. Yeah. I don't know. I could definitely see some blind people passing some gun shit.
Oh yeah, that's why I'm curious. Phil's obviously a guy that you and I both respect moderately,
I love you.
But like, obviously, he's doing it one to show that obviously it's doable, maybe to challenge himself or just to say that he's done something. I get it, but I'm curious. Like, even he has got to say, you know what? If we can all equally agree that hey, most of your law enforcement qualification standards are relatively tame compared to even like, dude, I've been through harder qualifications with you, right? There's shit that you've created, right? But he's got to have like a dude that likes steak and has had steak at numerous restaurants. They're all going to probably taste about the same, but he's going to have one place that he really likes eating steak at.
I'll share at house Airbnb with him in a couple days for a couple days, so I'll have the opportunity to ask him.
Yeah, I'm curious.
Who knows? I know why he's doing it. Like, besides the shit posting and the funny and whatever, his whole bent is really like, hey y'all, but if we're serious, we have to do better. Like this, this don't make a lot of sense.
Right.
So in the long line of airline fantasies, I only have one more, and then I'm done with the airline fantasy fight scenario. Do you think, if called upon, you could land the aircraft?
By myself, or are we doing like the thing that you see in the movies where it's like a 7-year-old girl who's on the phone or has got the headset on and air traffic controllers walking them through it?
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Oh yeah, I feel like I could.
You think so?
With some guidance, of course, yeah. But like, because I don't know if you've seen inside a cockpit, but there's a lot of more buttons and switches than an 08 GMC Sierra. Right? Shit's a little bit more complex than connecting your Bluetooth to your radio. Okay. But yeah, I feel like if somebody got to I've always wanted to fly too. Like, I originally joined the military to be a pilot. So like, I wouldn't have an issue trying to do it as long as I'd have that handicap of ATC being on the horn. Look, we're either gonna land. We'd either land the plane, or I'd make sure nobody was able to limp away from it. Right?
Like defined land, right? Like, it's going down.
Oh yeah, everything's a landing. It just depends on how controlled it is.
Yeah, I was all self-confident until you said connecting your Bluetooth. And I had a fucking minor freak out moment at my new work truck trying to connect that Bluetooth. So as I'm sitting here thinking back, I'm like, I don't know, maybe not.
It ain't as it. Just remember, dude. There's instructions on Pop-Tarts for a reason. Like, there's a lot of things in life that you would think are really simple, but turn out to be far more complex than they really are. Right.
So, what you guys don't know about TJ is that that's not radio banter. TJ says shit like, if you talk to TJ for an hour, at some point, some sort of Southern boy farmer backwoods military shenanigan analogy is coming out of TJ where he's like, man, they don't call them rats because they smell like puppies or somewhat. Like, he just says some shit that you're like, the fuck you just say?
I'm pleased to report that my day job, my boss has a quote book filled with TJ-isms.
Give me like the top 2 or 3.
It's prison rules, bitch. Yep, that's another one. Let's see. That thing moves like Grizel shit. I think that's one of his favorites. There was one I said today that ended up in the quote book, but I can't remember exactly what it was.
So when you were here
there's a few.
When you were here last and you were on a call for something, I have no idea what. I could only barely overhear it as I was like doing shit in my basement, getting ready for whatever we were about to go do. I distinctly heard you say some shit about like, let's reevaluate the battle space and move on our target objectives from here or some shit. Like, it clearly sounded like it was out of Zero Dark 30. And I remember hearing the girl on the other end go, like you could hear a slight like, oh fuck, who am I talking to? And you're just like,
I don't know what you just said, but it sounded unnecessarily aggressive.
Yeah, it's just that like, yeah. Okay. Oh, okay. TJ sells coffee to importers for a living.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make up a new what does TJ really do story every time.
Mm-hmm.
We'll get.
I'm actually a cobbler. I make shoes.
A cobbler. Cobbler.
That's just, you know what? In this little back and forth, we just came up with the next plot for a Liam Neeson movie.
Right.
A humble cobbler flying to see his family. Right.
It's just, I still can't help but get past that Family Guy scene with Jackie Chan grabbing every dude in a row, going, "Give me back my wife," and they're like, "I don't have your wife." He's just beating the shit out of him for no reason. Yeah. Well, I think have we gotten through all the what about the airline fantasy of like the crash plane in the wilderness or whatever? Like, you got any stuff in the carry on for the airplane apocalypse?
No.
I don't know. Like, I'd like to think if I was like the Tibetan.
I've gotten medical, but like not that much medical. There's not I said medical, not miracle.
I'm just saying, like, if I was the Tibetan soccer team that got stuck in the Andes or whatever, fucking shit. I mean,
oh wait, you're this is the fantasy where it's a hard landing, but kind of like Alone, right? The plane lands or hard landing into a mountainside, but everyone survives. Now you're stuck up in the Alps, and you got to either start foraging for food or start seeing which passenger can be eaten first.
right.
Yeah, I don't know.
You're looking at the people based on what you saw them eat last and wondering if they're going to taste like that.
Right.
I don't know. I mean,
yeah, honestly, you know what the funny thing is though. So this is I'm gonna get a little bit more personal on this one, but that's actually one of the reasons why I have anxiety for flying now.
you're afraid I'm going to eat you?
No. Plane crashes.
Oh.
So everyone says, air travel's far safer than vehicular travel, on the road, right? Driving your car every day. And that may be true, but I also look at it from like Tempting Fate or a game of real life, like Russian roulette, the game of life. So all of the times I've flown in Afghanistan and Iraq, jumping on, I've literally been on planes where it was 2 rows of a single seat. It's a pack of gum with a propeller on it. I've been in helicopters. I legit have I bought a Suunto watch with a GPS system on it with military grid reference system capabilities, so that in the event that my helicopter or something went down and I managed to survive it, I could try to find a radio and tell them my location. Right? Hundreds of flights. I can't even count them all, but it's up there. Triple digits easy. I'm like, you know what? Done this quite a bit. The reason that there are cars, so many car accidents is because we get complacent, because we do it every day, right? To a lot of us, we're oblivious to the gravity of the situation that we put ourselves in, driving a 2,000, 4,000 pound vehicle, that it's no different than us, contemplating the consequences of us trying to put our pants on in the morning, right? So I'm like, I don't feel comfortable flying as much as I do, because it's like, oh, I only do this once a year. No. Aggregately, I have flown a lot more. And I'm like, you know what? I don't like it. So yes, I actually do. I do have flight air travel anxiety. I do.
Yeah. I don't know. I just kind of
actually. So 16 years of marriage, and this is the first, when we flew to Colorado, is the first time my wife and I have been on a plane together. And my wife knows about my flight anxiety. Like, we've had this conversation before.
right.
And I'm sitting next to her on the plane, and she's like, "Well, you're actually handling this very well." She's like, "I thought you always get nervous." I was like, I am. My palms are sweating, but there's a reason there's a double Jack and Coke in my hand.
Were your knees weak and your arms heavy?
No.
Was there vomit on your sweater already?
No.
Were you nervous? We're on the surface. You look calm and ready.
That was actually probably accurate. Yeah, I'm not sitting there panicking. I'm not freaking out. Right? I'm not losing my shit. All right, stop. I'm not like panicking, but
Right.
yeah, like pit of my stomach, my palms will sweat, right? Just that little bit of anxiety, elevated blood pressure, stuff like that. I'm
Would you feel
uncomfortable.
better in the
flying.
cockpit or worse? I'd feel better if I could watch them dudes.
Probably, yeah.
All right.
I do take so speaking of that, I do take my cues off of the crew, right? Like I don't really get like I will get like visibly nervous unless I see them getting nervous. I'm like, oh shit.
You smell what a flight attendant going, in the middle battle, if you lay spirit to say,
Yeah, right. Yeah. Old Ginger here is going to be white knuckling some armrests. You know.
You ever seen the Shane Gillis? If anybody wants a stand-up comedy thing to go watch or listen to, look up a dude by the name of Shane Gillis. He does a comedy skit where like they're convinced the plane's gonna go down, and they're all like calling their loved ones, like being like, "Oh, honey, I love you so much." He's like, "Nah, fuck that. Call that motherfucker owes you money. Tell him how you really feel." So they're all like the plane's going down, and the last thing they do is like, "You know what, Grandma? You were always a fucking bitch," and like all this like crazy shit. And like, so he gets them all to like make the terrible phone call, and then the flight attendant comes back and goes, "Guys, we're gonna be all right." And they're like, "No, crash this motherfucker right now."
What has been said cannot be unsaid. What has been said cannot be unsaid. Please, I'm scared of Grandma. She's gonna whip my ass now.
And they show the people like they show their families like picking them up at the airport after the harrowing emergency, and the wife's like, "Really?" And dude's like, "Look, I thought I was gonna die." Yeah.
But,
Oh,
yeah,
George
man.
Airplane safety lecture.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to. I remember that one, but I'm a huge George Carlin fan, so I'm gonna have to go rewatch that.
Yeah. I don't know if we taught anybody anything tonight, but I've enjoyed the attempt.
No, it was a good conversation nonetheless. Entertaining, I think, at the very least.
Now, what do you think the chances are that I try to take my TACCON flight and I forget my 13th Thunderwear pistol or something in the, go through the metal detector and go, whoops.
Pretty high.
It's just a joke. I don't do that. It would be nice to be able to throw
the statistics, the probability is just going up, dude.
I know. It would be nice to be able to throw my Enigma in the carry-on, and that way easier. I know I can, but it just arouses suspicion. I
mean, you have to declare with the air like, "Hey guys, I'm checking a firearm," and they have to do their ominous
what I mean. I just mean like I just want as little eyes as possible. The TSA tarred waffle opens up the bag and like, was that a cod piece? I'm like, yes, it's a cod piece.
No, man, I've always thrown my holsters in my carry-on bag.
Yeah.
Now if I have a secondary holster or something like that, I'll throw that in my check bag. But no, my primary holster goes in my carry-on bag.
No. Well, we'll see what we decide to do. I might bring my braced pistol with me.
Sure.
Fucking America. It's been an injunction. It's called a murder.
Yeah, I'm really curious. I'm really curious where that's gonna go. I mean, I'm not complying with it, but like to see the amount of pushback. Like, I think this has probably been the fastest reaction from all the 2A groups. Even with the bump stock thing, like the level of response from like GOA, Fires Policy Coalition, all those people, like the lawsuits are already piling up.
Yep.
To fight this the pistol brace thing. So I'm watching it carefully. Did
you see Alex? The Suited Shootist just announced that the Filster newest product line is called the Murder Girdle. It's his signature series holster called the Murder Girdle.
Terminology not endorsed by Filster.
That's not what it says. It says terminology 100% endorsed by Filster. That's what he's claiming here on the Sling'N podcast.
Yes.
You heard it here first. No, but
Right.
I don't know, man. I can't wait for TACCon. It's going to be a good old time. I'm going to get to see my friends, get to hang out with a bunch of crazies, do some shooting. I don't know how much shooting I'm going to do with the effed up wrist, but we'll see. Something tells me when my friends are playing in the sandbox, I won't be able to stand by and watch them. I'll have to jump in. So
Right.
be a good old time. Shenanigans will ensue.
Oh, I'm certain.
Mm.
I mean, part of me is like, you know what? Just don't take a gun. Just bring plenty of liquor and plenty of batteries for your GoPro and a backup battery for your phone for all of the shenanigans that I'm sure you'll be able to capture on film.
Fuck, I didn't think about cameras. I genuinely wasn't even going to take a camera. I'm a poor content creator. I'm not really a content creator.
No, we are not.
I'm a content destroyer. Yeah. No, it's gonna be a good time. I can't wait to share the Airbnb with fucking Gunset and Apache and GMD and Vigor Training. We've got team T-shirts for our Airbnb that says Apache's vigoring. What's this? What's it say, Zach? Zach, are you still here? Apache's vigorously defending the Green Mountains with their gunset skills or something. I don't know.
Good Lord. I think you should just all get shirts that say Zach did it. And then on Zach's shirt, it just says, I did it. So, but oh man, good stuff. Yeah, I will be. So probably.
Oh yeah,
almost
that's
certainly
right.
no show.
Your thing. You're going to.
Yeah, almost. Yeah, certainly there will be no show next week. Wednesday, I leave for Orlando to go compete in the Pan American Championships. So yeah, good times.
Jiu-jitsu.
Mm-hmm. There are 15 fighters in my bracket, including me.
Is this your first big one as a blue belt?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
The first big tournament as a blue belt. I'm feeling strong. I'm feeling good. So we'll see what happens. I've got open mat tomorrow morning. Some guys are going to come down and cross train with us. And these guys are bruisers. Like these guys fight hard. So going to be a good training session tomorrow morning. Another open mat on Sunday, which is usually a battleground as it is. And then one more training session Monday night, and then get ready to fly. So my weight's good. Stamina's good. Just got to iron out my technique. Amateurs practice till they get it right. Professionals train till they can't get it wrong.
Stupid professionals train until they induce permanent bodily injury.
Yeah, I'll endorse that one. Yeah, sure.
Yeah. I don't know, dude. I have a feeling they're going to win the whole thing. You heard it here.
As my coach says, you're guaranteed one fight. Give it everything you got.
Right. You heard it here first.
So,
well, the only thing I wish is that I could if we could teleport, we could do your match tournament, Mabobber, and fucking be at TACCon at the same time.
that would be dope.
Right?
That'd be dope. Although it will be cool though, because like I'm flying down Wednesday night. I don't fight until Saturday. So Thursday, I'm actually going to go visit some friends and family that I haven't seen in like 14 years. At least in person. Like we've stayed in touch, of course, but yeah, I haven't seen these people in 14 years, so it's been too long. So it'll be good to get down there and see them. So then all day Friday is going to be at the tournament supporting my team, and then I fight Saturday.
Yeah. You gonna win, Tater. I'm feeling it.
I mean, I might not win, but they're going to know they were in a fight.
Who let the ginger gorilla out of its cage?
About the size of it. So, good stuff, man. So, what do we got for sign off, Kent?
Oh, I don't know. Just go train with guns, get some medical stuff, be smart, take care of each other. How about Cam? Let's give a Cam update. We recently sent Cam out another payout check for all them T-shirts and all that stuff y'all been buying from the podcast. TJ and I are pretty much at the point where when the podcast makes money, it goes right to Cam. So that's kind of what the deals have been. He's been getting a good little stipend from this. You know, not necessarily not life-changing money, but you know, when your boy needs help, so you do the right shit. He's in really good spirits. It seems like he's getting back into the shooting. He's getting out on the guns. He's driving around a little bit now. Him and his, you know, obviously he's got his girl there, and that's all good. And he's kind of coming out the other side of this thing, unfortunately. I mean, obviously he's had a life-altering situation there, but I really feel like the next leg of his journey is going to be a good one for him. I really do. I couldn't. I just can't not. Just gotta put one foot in front of the other and keep going. You really do. So sometimes you just gotta slap your knee and stand up and do it again. Nah, but he's killing it, man. I'm really proud of him. His mindset is fucking there. He hasn't let the drugs or any of that other shit like break him. You know, he hasn't gotten dependent on pain substances, which a lot of guys go through and stuff like that. Opioid.
Yeah.
A lot of dudes in his situation, opioid problems are the next ones. He's avoided that. So she, by the way, like we keep talking about Cam because like that's our boy, right? And you know, easy to be overshadowed, but still a thing is the fact that his better half is in the exact same situation that he is, and she's equally kicking ass. So,
yes,
you know, fucking kudos. That's two really strong humans. You know,
some of the strongest people I know.
Yeah, they obviously got off on the right foot together. So,
oh Jesus. All right, I'm cutting you off. Folks, that's it for us this week. Of course, Kent mentioned medical equipment, right? If you're going to carry a gun, you should carry medical. Even if you don't carry a gun, damn it, you should carry medical. I got to meet you on this one, buddy. I'm getting the echo again. Code BRAVO15 will get you, or BB15 will get you 15% off at checkout at darkangelmedical.com. We get no kickbacks from that. That's how important medical is to us. But we do appreciate showing Carrie some love over there at Dark Angel Medical. If you could put in your order notes that the Sling'N podcast sent you, we would surely appreciate it. Of course, greenmountaindefense.com/training, so you can see all of Kent's upcoming courses and training opportunities. Apache Solutions as well. The guys out at Gunset, Vigor Training, Scott Jidlinski, Modern Samurai Project, of course, all near and dear friends of the show. We are always happy to partner with them and have them on the show whenever we possibly can. That is all that we have for this week, folks. We appreciate your attendance and your listening and viewership. Until we see each other again, God bless you all. Take care of each other. Get out and shoot.
Toodles.